Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Midlife Re-Alignment. I'm your host, Esther Blum, and I'm here to disrupt the narrative on perimenopause and menopause with humor, nutrition, hormones, and fierce self-advocacy. Together, we'll rewrite your story and the rules because there's a light at the end of the vaginal tunnel. Let's go. Today, we have a very special guest on the Midlife Realignment podcast, Miss Jenny Murphy, who was a former client of mine and had a spectacular midlife transformation inside and out. We're both probably going to cry on the show today. But I just really had to have Jenny on to share and inspire all of you with her patience, her dedication, her steadfastness in her journey. And I'm so proud to have Jenny on the show today. And I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so thrilled I met you. You made such a difference in my life. It's unbelievable.
Oh, well, thank you. She's not paid to say that,
I'm
everybody.
not at all.
Talk to me about your journey. Where were you before you even reached out for help? Where were you in your midlife metamorphosis?
I felt so defeated. I couldn't believe what was happening to myself. 3 years ago, I was on or we'll go back to a year before that. 52 years old, I get my last period. I go to my doctor. I get put on HRT. I'm on that for the next year. That spring, my doctor retires. That summer, I start putting on weight like I can't believe. By August, we go away. We come back from the vacation. I look at the pictures. I can't believe what I look like. I finally get on the scale because I've been avoiding that. And I'm 20 pounds heavier than I've ever been, not pregnant. So I'm devastated. I start interviewing new gynecologists because my gynecologist has retired, and nobody cares. They're kind of like, yeah, your HRT is fine. Women gain weight at this point, probably has to do with COVID, less activity, eat more protein, which I thought I was doing, and I was working out every day. So I thought I had the right elements in place to be a normal weight, yet the scale kept going up. So my friend and I decided we were going to weigh in on Wednesdays and be accountability partners for each other. And we started doing this in August. She went on to lose 13 pounds. I would go up 2 pounds, down 1 pound. On and on through the whole fall. I read your book, See You Later, Ovulator. I started following you on Instagram, and I just felt a connection with you. I trusted you. I was looking at other people too, who were also on Instagram, but you were so real, and See You Later, Ovulator was such a great book for me. So I thought, okay, I can do this on my own, but I couldn't, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. So I decided to meet with you, and I think I DM'd you, and we met in November, and I told you what was going on, and you said you could help me. And I probably cried on the phone then, because I was doing all the right things, and I was so heavy. I had to cry on my clothes before I went out. I would get up every day, and I was going to the gym most days. It wasn't like I wasn't working out and doing the things. And I'd come home and I'd have to try on different outfits because nothing fit. And it was just so sad. I just wanted to fit back into my clothes. So you met with me and you said, we're going to do some tests and we're going to figure this out and we're going to work together. And I'm definitely going to be able to help you. So that was November. And we started working together in January of 2024.
Feels like a minute ago already. So in addition to the weight gain, were you having other symptoms while you were in perimenopause/menopause?
I wish somebody had taken my hand 10 years ago and been like, baby girl, let's get you on some progesterone. At 47, I started having these panic attacks driving over bridges that I didn't understand at all and was quite embarrassed about. I would tell people. I don't know that I told my gynecologist, but I was telling my friends that I was experiencing this, and everybody was kind of like, oh, that happens. And people gave me like kind of cognitive behavioral things for anxiety, but I wasn't putting it together that it was related to perimenopause. I also had, the horrible crime scene periods. Mm-hmm. And like my daughter was in school in Chicago, and I felt like every time I went to visit her, I was just a disaster, having to bring more clothes because, and so many tampons, and it was just crazy. Plane rides were awful. She was in plays, and I'd be sitting there like, am I going to bleed through the seat at the theater? Embarrass my daughter. So I was having and no one was. I did tell my gynecologist about this, and they're like, oh, you can take a little progesterone. But I think at the time I was trying to be, oh, I don't need that. I can do this on my own. And nobody explained to me that it was going to help all my symptoms. Like I was waking up at 3 a.m, just la-di-da for like 2 hours. My sleep wasn't great. But I just thought, oh, it's life. It's having kids. It's the stress of stuff going on. I didn't think it was perimenopause, but now I know, oh my gosh, for 10 years, I could have had so much better quality sleep and not worried about weight so much, because it's been such a struggle for years. But it wasn't until, like 4 years ago that I mean, the weight just started. I could always kind of keep it in check, but I had to do all the right things all the time to keep it in check. Exercise and, avoid sweets and those sorts of things. But, I really feel like if somebody had swooped in and given me a better perimenopause handbook, I could have had a much better experience.
Yeah. We're the Gen Xers. We're the alchemists. So we're going through all of this. So our daughters, nieces, sisters, daughters, friends don't have to ever go through this. But it's horrible that we all took one for the team, so to speak. And you're petite, like how tall are you? 5'2"?
Yeah, I'm 5'3", yeah.
Yeah. And so when you gain 20 pounds, it's like a 6-foot woman gaining like 30 to 35 pounds. I mean, every pound at our height is like 5 pounds anywhere else. So that's another really challenging part of it, is how do you dress when you're 5'3" and you have all this extra weight? It's like, it's really demoralizing and challenging, and just not that we should have the shame, but we do. That's just the fact of life.
Well, I started having body chafe for the first time in my life.
I call it chub rub.
It's like the armpits and my inner thighs.
Yeah.
And I was like,
what the fuck?
Is it? Luckily, there's a great product. I forget what it's called. It's like a deodorant. You can rub it on and it smooths things out. It's called like Bodacious Babe or something like that. It has a cute name. But
if it's any consolation, when I trained for the marathon, like I used to chafe so badly because I don't have a thigh gap. And so I found this birthday card and it said I had to quit running. It was bad for my health. My thighs rubbed together so much my underwear caught fire.
I'm sure.
And I was like, oh yeah, I
can relate.
Had chafe like nobody's business. I still do in the summer if I'm not careful. So yes, and then you're in perimenopause, sweating and profusely bleeding, and it's like, it's just an absolute,
with weird rashes. I mean, it's
weird rashes.
It was
with the
miserable.
bat wing chub rub rashes.
Right. It's like,
yeah.
oh, notice how fat I am here, because it's now a red rash too.
Yes. And your before and after pictures are like so dramatic. I mean, you really see the changes that you went through and you suffered through needlessly. Now, it's so interesting too. I mean, I recently came across photos of myself from it was either 2016 or 2017. And I was like, wow, I had such a fat padding on me. I had 10 pounds on me.
Yeah.
From back then, because I was in the height of perimenopause. And on that trip, we were biking. We were doing 17-mile drive in Northern California. And same thing, I had a cycle that was just exploding. I'm biking. My son is like, why does mommy have to keep stopping in the bathroom? I was like stuffing toilet paper in my underwear. I was like, I had to wash all my clothes in the hotel by hand because it was out of control. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what we endure. Okay. So back to you. All right. So you weren't fitting it in your clothes. We started working together. Can you share a little more about what you discovered?
So my hormones were low. So you asked me if I liked my current gynecologist, and the answer was no. So you suggested I meet with Dr. Fensky in New York City, and I met with her, and she looked at my hormone levels and agreed with you that they were too low. So she upped my estrogen. She put me on a much better progesterone plan, which was every day, because I was on that weird 2 months for 2 weeks.
Even in your menopause, you were only taking progesterone 2 weeks out of the month.
Every 2 months for 2 weeks.
Every 2 months for 2 weeks. Right. I'm remembering this now. And what estrogen dosage were you on?
I think it was 0.5.
Okay.
0.05.
0.05.
Yeah.
So totally room for improvement. And were you on testosterone?
Not at all. And I think that's the game changer too. I mean, well, it's hard to know. Everything helped so much. The sleep, all of a sudden, so much better. And brain fog, gone. I didn't even talk about the brain fog. Not only was I heavy, I had brain fog. I had a dear friend that was working with me on the same project, and it was so great because she knew what I was going to say, what I wanted to say, and she prepped me with words because I couldn't bring words out. It was, so you're hefty, you're sweating, you can't think of the right word. So it was such a mess. So Fensky got me on the right dose. And simultaneously, I started working with you guys, and you asked me to, first of all, meet my macros, and I logged them every day. So I met that, and I thought I was eating enough protein, but once I started logging 140 grams of protein, I was probably getting half to 2/3 of the amount of protein I should have been getting daily. So that was a huge game changer. It took me a long time to figure out how to lock that in. It's hard to increase your protein to that level and every day get it. But now I have things, certain foods that I eat that I hit my macros for the protein that work really well. You guys also asked me to eliminate gluten, alcohol, not eliminate alcohol, but really, try to limit it as much as possible. Afternoon coffee. I was a huge afternoon coffee person. And you were like, your cortisol is spiking in the afternoon, and I really don't know why it's spiking up that high. So please eliminate coffee. You suggested the Sigmatic mushroom coffee, which is great and helps with focus. But again, I think the compounded testosterone really, that made me feel like my brain was back to normal. Yeah.
It's profound, isn't it?
It really is.
And we're, God willing, like a couple years away from getting testosterone FDA approved for women. We're working on it. But yeah, it's such a game changer. And most people don't realize testosterone is the predominant hormone in a woman's body prior to menopause. And we're not allowing it. Yeah, nobody does till they use it.
I thought it was for the guys.
Right?
And it sounds scary to use it. But I had heard a couple other people talk about using it, and I was like, all right, if they're using it, I might as well give it a try. So I did. And I trusted you guys. Again, I had such a trust with you from the get-go, from our calls and our conversations. And then Dr. Fensky is such a brilliant woman, and I totally trusted her. I recommended her to a number of people. And everybody is so happy when they find her because she's like, oh, you don't need this, you need this. And she's right. She's always right. She reconfigures medications and knows what people should be doing to have better health.
And for those of you, if you're saying, this name sounds familiar, she was my doctor for she still is, for my perimenopause, menopause care, got me through my hysterectomy. She's in New York City, Suzanne Fensky. Her website is TaraMD, TARAMD.com. So yeah, she is a functional medicine GYN, which is really the unicorn of medical care. So I always trust. It's so important for me to have good referral partners because when I send someone to a provider who sucks and somebody comes back to me in tears
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very careful not to, but there have been times where it's just happened. I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible, because it's hard enough to trust one person. And then to say, oh, I trust this one person, so this other person must be good. And then they're not. You're like, come on, like what's happening? So it always gives me peace of mind to send people to her, because, yeah, I can trust that.
Oh, she's wonderful.
Freaking deliver. Yeah.
Every time.
Every time,
Yeah.
right? So, all right, your macros, your protein was 140.
Yep.
And your carbs, do you remember your carbs and fat?
So I think carbs were 100 and fat was 75. And you did try to give me more carbs, and we played with that. So I started working with you in January, and that spring, weight loss was very slow. But I really trusted in the process, and you explained to me that it can take a while to get, for your body to respond. So luckily, even though the scale wasn't moving quickly, my clothes were fitting better, and I was looking better, and people were noticing. So that was, that buoyed me and kept me going. But for me, if I bump up the carbohydrates, I don't lose weight.
Yes. And for you, I just want to applaud you again why you were so extraordinary, because you were so patient. 4 months went by. You did not lose a pound.
Yeah.
4 months. And you kept logs every day. You exercised. You showed up for your call. You took your supplements. You went and got hormones. And I share this story because it's so discouraging for a lot of women. They say, it didn't work for me. No, you have to give it time. Not everyone loses weight out of the gate. It's rare to lose weight out of the gate. It's easier in menopause than perimenopause, because if you're on the right hormone cocktail and dose, because you're not experiencing the roller coaster ride of surging estrogen and cortisol. But at the same time, you were so patient and focused. And we discovered something about you, because we're scratching our heads saying, all right, why isn't Jenny losing weight? What's happening? I knew you weren't like sneaking, bags of M&Ms or French fries. You were honestly on point with everything. So what we discovered about you was high insulin.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Even on hormones, even on all the protein, even on all the things.
And this was April.
When you go to the doctor for your midlife checkup, it's hard to know where to start. That's why I created my free resource, Top Hormone Tests Every Perimenopausal Woman Needs to Know. This is an incredible resource for you to download and use to get the best medical care possible and do a deep dive on what's happening in your body. Grab your free copy at estherblum.com. Then what happened next?
So you suggested I wear a glucose monitor, which I was like, cool. I tried to get it from my doctor. My doctor said, no, you're not diabetic. You don't need one. So then Dr. Fensky said, here, I'll prescribe the glucose monitor for you. And that gave me great insight into what was going on. But it was really having Dr. Fensky prescribe metformin that made the difference, because it was like, as you said, I wasn't sneaking M&Ms. It was just, I was insulin resistant, and I was keeping the weight on to protect my body, or the whole chemical thing that goes back to that. And it wasn't until I started metformin, which again, I was like, I can't believe I have to take a prescription medication. Now I just laugh at that I was so appalled that I had to take a prescription medication. But the metformin made a huge difference. Then the needle started going down.
That's right. So what most people don't realize is that our insulin receptors kind of conk out a lot of the times in midlife, even doing all the things. You had a high step count. You were pushing heavy weights. You were nourishing your bodies. And sometimes we do need to go that extra step. And metformin has been around forever. When I did my hospital dietitian training in, 1993, we would give patients in the hospital who weren't getting insulin, we would give our type 2 diabetics metformin, which is an oral hypoglycemic agent, drives insulin into cells. The worst potential side effects are GI side effects. Did you have any GI side effects?
It's fine.
And so it's nice if you don't want to do a GLP-1, if you feel like that's too aggressive or it's too expensive and you don't like needles, metformin's been around forever. It's just an oral medication that's not expensive. Is your insurance covering it?
Yeah, I don't pay for it.
You don't pay for it.
I just picked it up today. Yep.
Yeah, and so it's an oldie but goodie and so worth a try. Now, it doesn't impact your appetite in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Correct. So if you're someone who has a huge appetite or a ton of food noise, a GLP-1 may be better. But either way, with the GLP-1s and HRT, there's a much better outcome, a much more favorable outcome with body recomposition.
Yeah.
Metformin, I don't have as much information on metformin and hormones, but suffice it to say, you're proof that it absolutely worked.
So over that summer, then I started really, losing weight. And then we discovered that what I thought was an IT band injury was really that my left hip was bone on bone and I needed a hip replacement. So when I think how lucky I was that at this point, I think I was 15 pounds down. So my goal was in reach because, and I got that news. So that was like September of 2024. Because I think of the woman that could have been 20 pounds up and heard she needed a hip replacement because I'm young for a hip replacement. That would have been devastating all over again. Like the not feeling right in my body and then finding out that not only am I heavy and not feeling good in my body, but my hip's giving out. So I was so thrilled I was with you because now I had this conviction that, well, I can do this. I can handle that. I can deal with this hip thing. And you also put me in touch with Jennifer Kirsch, who I know has been on the show, and she's been through it. And to see somebody like her bounce back from a hip replacement, I was like, oh, this isn't going to be the biggest deal in the world. And it wasn't. And I considered now looking towards my hip replacement as being in training. Now I was in training for like a marathon. And so I was doing your nutrition plan, but I was going to work out so that I could recover from this. And I'm so thrilled about that because I don't even want to know who I would have been as a person 20 pounds up needing a hip replacement. It would have been so sad because I was in a lot of pain too, which of course I was like, oh, it wasn't that bad until you get the hip replacement and you're like, I was in so much pain. I can't believe how much pain I was in. And I was just like, oh, it's from working out. But it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was hip pain.
And you pre-gamed so hard with your nutrition, your workouts. We put you on anti-inflammatory supplements to really, and that really made a huge difference. And your blood sugar was under control, which made a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. Can we talk about what your numbers started looking like? Do you remember what your numbers started looking like when you were, what they were before and what they were on the metformin? Like, you were still wearing a glucose monitor for a long time?
Yeah, so it's hard to compare so my lab numbers, my fasting glucose was like 106 before metformin. And then after metformin, once I started, it went down to 96 pretty quickly. And then now I think it's even lower. I think it's in like the low 90s. I don't know the exact number, but it's definitely in a much better place.
Yeah.
And I feel better. It's wild to think about how the up and down sugar just doesn't make you feel good.
Yeah, no, it's really crappy feeling. So what is your hormone dosage now? What are you on now?
I'm on 0.075 estrogen.
Patch?
Yes, patch, which is a little hard to get these days. And then I take 200 milligrams of progesterone, which I adore. I started that a year ago. And I am like, don't ever take me off of this because I thought my sleep was great on 100 milligrams, but now I don't even wake up to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
so it is thrilling. So, and the testosterone is just compounded from a pharmacy and that stayed the same.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, let's go back and talk about, well, I have to ask too, do you use vaginal estrogen at all?
Of course I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 2 to 3 times a week.
Yes. And do you put it on your face also?
I do.
Right?
I do.
I know. I was out to dinner with my girlfriends and they're like, wait, do I put it on the vag first and then the face? I'm like, no. It's top down, not bottom up. No.
I squirt it out on my finger and I start on my face and then I work it out.
We have to. And your skin is gorgeous. Very tight and
Thank
firm.
Thank you. My daughter said that the other day too, and I was like,
Yes, which is so nice.
It is so nice.
So, all right, what works for you in terms of eating your macros? Like, how do you personally get your protein in and hit your low carbs and stay really dialed in?
So what I found is that I really load up in the morning. I wake up and I have a protein shake and I do a scoop and a half of protein in the morning before I work out. Then I go work out, I come back, and then I have a cup of Greek yogurt and blueberries and a tablespoon of peanut butter. And I consider that my breakfast, even though I have the protein shake in the morning. I just do the protein and almond milk. I'm not crazy with that. I know a lot of people put a lot of exotic things in their protein shakes. I do not. I don't even put ice in my protein shake. So then I'm getting like about 50 to 60 grams of protein before noon, before I even eat lunch. Then I try to get, 30 grams of protein, and dinner I try to get 30 grams of protein. I will skip carbs at lunch so I can eat the carb at dinner.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I get much better sleep if I eat a potato at dinner. My sleep, even last night, I was like, I'm just going to be quick about it. I'm just going to do rice. And somehow the potato is the magic potion for me. I had rice. My deep sleep was, I got a half hour, which is not nothing. But usually if I have the potato, I can get anywhere. I'm in the good deep sleep range from like 50 minutes to more than an hour. So
gorgeous. That's the other thing is when you fix the sleep, that's ground zero. Sleep is your metabolic mistress. It reigns queen over your insulin, your inflammation, brain fog, irritability. And so it's really hard to lose fat when you're not sleeping and your cortisol is really spiking very high, or it's rock bottom, either or. Just regulate cortisol, and low sleep, it makes it really hard to recomp your body.
Yeah, I think eliminating afternoon coffee was really important for me too.
I know. It's so sad, isn't it?
It is so sad. When Fensky told me I might have to eliminate my morning coffee, I was like, I can't do that. Yeah. I just can't do that. So that's when I went up. It was other reasons that I needed to go up to 200 milligrams of progesterone, but that allows me to have my morning coffee. So that's good.
Amen. Because, you can't give up everything all the time.
Yeah. Because, the other thing at this point in our lives, and you've talked about this, drinking is not helpful at this stage. It's so, the weeks that we'd even have like 2 vodka seltzers, I didn't lose that week. And then if I had nothing, I would go down, half a pound, maybe a whole pound. But as you know, it was very slow, but it was so interesting and that was what was interesting about the glucose monitor too, is I could see how my insulin stayed higher for like 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 days if I had drinks on Saturday night.
Okay, I want everyone to hear that again. If you are drinking, it's going to fuck with your insulin and your thyroid function.
It was so sad. So Saturday night, I'd have 2 drinks, and I could see on my glucose monitor that my numbers would be up Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, and without fail. It just, and that, once you see that data, you can't not unsee it. And that's why some people don't like wearables and counting their macros and those sorts of things. But I really do, because I weigh myself weekly, because I am very like, I'm sure I'm thinner, I'm sure I'm fine. And then, no, I have to stay on those because I'm not as honest with myself if I don't. I gained 20 pounds because I didn't weigh myself for months and months.
And as much as the scale really triggers a lot of people, it's also I too still use it. I take measurements, but I do like the scale. Same thing. It keeps me accountable, but also it helps me learn. Like I will weigh myself after vacation. I'm always up 1.5 pounds. Sometimes after Italy, I was up 4 pounds, but then it was down within 2 weeks, and it enables me to say, all right, you want a FAFO? You're gonna pay, enjoy yourself, eat the pasta and pizza in Italy, but when you come home, get back on the horse, and it will fall away when you do all the other things. And I'm grateful for the metrics, and if you can step into that place of, hey, this is just information, there's no shame around it. I'm not mad at myself. I had fun, I enjoyed it, but also now get back, tighten up, and get back to work.
And I love, I will sometimes still look. So I tracked my weight from when we started. I will sometimes still look at that and like, wow, look how slow that went. But look, here I've lost 5 pounds. Here I lost 10 pounds. Here I lost 15 pounds. Here I lost 20 pounds. Here I'm down 22 pounds. It was so exciting to see that graph, even though it took so long. It took a year, but it
right.
was so satisfying to watch. So I will still sometimes still like look back. Oh, look what I did. I'm so proud of it because it was so hard.
Are you gonna frame it?
No, I just keep it on my phone.
Oh, is that like your wallpaper? Be like, this is my weight loss graph.
No, my dog's my wallpaper, but I should have that as
you
my.
You have a cute dog.
I do have a cute
yes.
dog. Yeah.
But that's it. And that's the other thing I want to tell everybody is please give yourself grace, because it does take a long time. It doesn't, my 10-pound weight loss even, I mean, I don't even know when it started because I wasn't consciously trying, but giving up alcohol really helped a lot. I still, once or twice a month, maybe have an Aperol spritz, whatever, but nowhere near as consistently as I was 2017, 2018. COVID is when I really just kind of stopped. But
see, that's where I ramped up.
That's where most people ramped up. And you know what? I know for me, I had lost my dad during COVID, and I knew it was like, I can't drink when I'm depressed. I can only drink when I'm happy or on vacation. So I knew for me, I'm like, that is going to put me over the freaking edge.
Well, that helped you, because I think that's what one gynecologist tried to tell me. She's like, oh, I think we all just gained weight over COVID, and that was the reason for my weight gain. It was COVID. And I just knew that wasn't true, because I ate very well during COVID because I had the time.
Right, exactly. But it takes time. The weight loss takes a long time. And if you can detach from it and fall in love with the process and fall in love with the self-care, and also use other metrics, start to track your insulin and glucose, start to track your sleep, start to think, am I having brain fog, or is my brain firing on all cylinders? Like, just getting
that was
back
so
is
exciting, because that was, I think that's what got me through it taking so long to lose weight in the first couple of months. Is I was a whole new person anyway. I felt so good. I had so much more energy. I was thrilled. I was so thrilled.
And testosterone too gives you such a big boost too with the energy, I feel like. Okay, so all right, we talked about your protein. I was just thinking we didn't talk about your protein, but we did talk about your protein. Were you able to digest the increased amount of protein right away, or did you start integrating it slowly?
See, I was on the digestive enzymes, so I don't think I had a problem digesting I don't recall any problem with digesting the protein. Fiber was another issue. So you suggested pure lean fiber, which I started taking, and I think you had me do 1 scoop, and I would totally recommend that to people. Like, for me, the fiber was a much bigger issue of, like feeling gassy and whatever. But once I got my body adjusted, which I would say 2 weeks to a month, and then now I just take 2 scoops and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, I had to adjust. But it's funny because on Instagram, I just did a story the other day about protein, and that, people should think about using digestive enzymes if they're having, because women have such problems digesting protein. And somebody wrote to me, I'm so glad you mentioned this. I totally forgot about digestive enzymes. And she's like, and I've been struggling to reach my protein macro for digestion issues. And now I think if I'm going to start taking the digestive enzymes. So she asked me what I took, and I told her what I took. And so hopefully she gets on her merry way there.
Yes. And that's really, and even on the hormone cocktail, you still find you benefit from digestive enzymes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, then you got to listen to your body. It's amazing. And your gut, how is your gut function now?
So much better. Mm-hmm. It's delightful. It's, I mean, I will never, I'm still like with my glutamine drink every day. And because I don't ever want to go back to how my stomach felt before. I didn't have stomach pain or anything, but it was just, I was, very regular now. I can predict when I'm going to poop. It's great. It's like, okay, that's done. And now I can move on. It's where before that it was kind of like, I don't know, I might have to go to the bathroom then. So it's just so nice to know, like, everything's like clockwork, and I just feel so good.
Mm-hmm. And you're so consistent with your workouts too. So what are your workouts like now?
So I go to the gym most days. I try to lift about 4 days a week, and I do spin 2 days a week for sure. Sometimes I do 3 days a week. So, and then I try to walk too. And unfortunately, because of the weather, I've been walking a lot on the treadmill. So I've not been doing my outdoor walking, which is preferable, but I've been doing treadmill walking.
Yeah.
But the steps make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And moving after eating makes a difference too, which I hadn't done before, but you guys really encouraged me to move around for 10 minutes after eating.
Yeah.
And that, I'm like, okay, I'm going, I'm walking around. So I think that's important too.
100%. So what 3 pieces of advice, you can do more if you like, but what are 3 pieces of advice you would give to a woman in perimenopause who doesn't even know where to start? She knows things are off, but she has no idea what to do.
I tell anyone over 45 who's a woman to take progesterone. I'm like, you need to get progesterone. And they look at me like, why are you pushing this on me? And then I try to tell them why I'm pushing it on them, but I know, everybody has to go through their own lived experience and make their own decisions. But I so wish somebody had done that for me. And then, of course, protein, and then moving your body. Those are the 3 most important things. But, progesterone, baby. You need your progesterone. Because that sleep, when people tell me, I'm just up every night at 3:30, or I get up at 4:30 every day, I'm like, you need progesterone. You don't need to be waking up at 4:30 in the morning for the day. I mean, or being up from 3:30 to 5:30 and then falling back to sleep and having a chaotic morning because you were, awake for so long in the middle of the night.
Did your husband, and you have 2 boys, if I'm remembering?
I have a daughter and 2 boys.
A daughter and 2 boys.
Yeah.
And one got married.
She's getting married in September.
Getting married in September. Okay. So what would you, did they notice when you were going through all of your changes for the better? Did they notice, like, how looped in were they to your journey?
Enough, like, they thought it was funny, all the supplements I have, and mom doing her pill boxes, like those kind of things, and drinking, like, what's that funny pink drink you drink, or the yellow drink that I drink. So they were kind of looking at that. My middle guy's in California, so he's kind of not seen it. But and then I'm on Instagram every day talking about it. So my kids see me on Instagram talking about my menopause journey. So they're pretty looped in. My husband started eating like me. So he, of course, lost 10 pounds, like that in the first 6 months with you.
Of course.
When I lost like 4 pounds, he lost 10. And, without working out or or doing anything or taking any supplements. But he will preach to anybody about how fantastic this was for me. And he did not like the investment of money that I was doing up front. He was kind of on the fence. But then he said to me a couple of months in, he was like, you are so much happier. This is so worth it. This has been, and you know, that's a lot coming from him, because that boy does not like to spend money. And he, you know, he was thrilled. And then I re-upped for 6 more months, and he was like, he was like, keep her forever. Like,
well, no husband is ever going to be like, here, go invest thousands of dollars in yourself and go. Just here you go, honey.
Right.
But then when they see how they get you back, they're like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And skepticism is healthy too. I mean, listen, there's a lot of wackadoos out there who are influencers. They don't have the credibility. So you really do want to go to someone with credentials. You want to go to someone who is, you know, legit and also gives you results, but not in a crazy way. There was nothing, it was a slow, gradual process. You didn't lose muscle. You actually gained muscle and lost fat and preserved your bone, and you're healed like a rock star from your surgery.
Oh, my bone is so good. It's so good.
That's what he said.
Yes.
That was low-hanging fruit.
Yes,
So, all right. Well, let's end on that note. So, Jenny, where can people find and follow you and just continue to be inspired about your journey?
So I'm your menopause hype girl on Instagram. I'm at So Jenny Wellness. It's SOJENNY Wellness, all one word. And it's a great community where we just talk about what we're going through in menopause and tips and tricks and all sorts of ways just to live your most vibrant life now.
Well, congrats, because you are a badass menopause ambassador, and I'm so
Well, I owe it all
to
you. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. It's thrilling. Mwah.
If you loved this episode, follow or subscribe to the Midlife Realignment wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube, and leave a review to help other women find this show.